So I've received a question from somebody who was looking to join the military. He's messaged me and he said, look, how do I increase my back strength in preparation for joining the military, the Marines specifically? It's well known that Royal Marines have to do a lot of load carrying, or yomping as they call it, ruck marches as they call it in the US, tabbing as they call it in the army. It is all the same thing. It is walking with weights or sometimes running with weight on your back. It's very common as well for people in the military, particularly in training, to develop some kind of back problem, back pains, or to hurt their backs whilst doing loaded carries or just through the intensity of training. I wanted to take some time to make a video on this because it's a subject that you can't really answer it in a few words. It's a complicated subject. Many people will just say to you, all right, you want to get ready for load carrying, yomping, you've just got to go run in, do bodyweight exercises, put a backpack on your back and just walk or run with it. That's all well and good, but there are some steps you need to look at before you actually start doing that, because just by simply doing that, you might actually make your body worse. You might actually end up developing some kind of injury rather than actually strengthening your body, which is what you want to do. There are things that can be looked at which, if addressed, can not only reduce the likelihood of injury, can also increase your strength and your performance, not just in load carrying, but in weightlifting as well, and also it will or should improve your posture. So I want to take this time now just to forget about me and direct your attention over to my work of art on the whiteboard there. So I'm not going to be winning any awards for this, but this is a little basic diagram of the human body from behind. So as you can see here for the human body, it's from reverse. I just want to point out the main muscles that we're going to be talking about today. So we've got the latissimus dorsi here. So the muscle fibers there will go something like this. You've got the latissimus dorsi there, working on either side. Through the centre there, hope you can see that denotes the spine. Working on down these sides here, you've got the glutes. Now I'll just put the glute muscle fibres will go outwards in this sort of fashion. So what I want to talk about here is your secret weapon. If you want to be stronger, if you want to be able to lift heavier objects, you want to be able to stand more upright, you want better posture, you want to be more athletic, I want to introduce you to the posterior oblique system, which is a system on the back, which I like to think of it as an X. So it starts off, goes at the back here, all the way down, through your body. I'm not sure if you can see that in the red. So you've got an X that goes along the back. So this is the connection between your latissimus dorsi and your gluteus maximus. The latissimus dorsi, I'll just call them the lats here. Glute maximus there. And also as well, you've got the thoracolumbar fascia here. TLF is in the centre. Now this area here, TLF, what that is your interconnection there, where your muscle fibres from your glutes, from your lats, they all connect in that area there. These muscles here in your glutes aren't firing correctly, so your two glutes there, disrupts this whole chain. So you lose this strength. What often happens is individuals will have either a weakness in the glutes, very often a weakness, or the glutes are just simply not activating. Sometimes the strength is there, some of the muscles are there. These are the most powerful muscles in your body here, working together. As a result of gluteal amnesia, the glutes are just forgotten how to work because you're sitting down at your desk all day, you're not firing them correctly, you're not activating them, they're not being worked. Habitual sitting in your laptop, habitual driving, it is just like a massive attack on these muscles actually working, and it disrupts this whole system. And then what happens then is you'll find is a lot of individuals, their hamstrings will actually activate before the glutes whilst performing exercises, which is not an ideal scenario. You want your glutes to activate first, you want them to fire up first. They develop the power, they start delivering the power, and then your hamstrings then will work synergistically with them, but the glutes should activate first. This system needs to be addressed before we start looking at loaded carries, before we start looking at heavy weightlifting. So with the correct exercise prescription and the way of doing your exercises, so simple glute activation exercises could be doing glute bridges every day, doing hip thrusts every day, habitually performing these exercises. And it's not just adding these extra exercises in, but it's also a case of how do you execute your exercises? How do you execute your squat? How do you execute your deadlift? How do you execute your step up? These are the questions you need to be asking yourself. So at the top of the movement, are you fully extending? Are you squeezing the glutes to the top? Are you coming into hip extension or neutral position of the hip? Or are you shortchanging yourself, that part of the movement? It's very important. I see it all the time, particularly with step ups. People, they just want to step up, they just think about the movement, they think about they're going up and down, but they're not actually thinking about the exercise or what their muscles are actually doing. So it's very important to make sure you are squeezing the glutes as you come into hip extension, as your neutral position, squeezing the glutes nice and hard, and that will correct your hip position. Over time as well, that will begin to activate the glutes and make sure they are firing accordingly. And all that will happen then is we will bring back this chain here where we've got the two most powerful muscle groups in the body working together. So you've got the powerful latissimus dorsi of the upper body, strongest, most powerful muscles in the upper body, working with the incredible power of the glutes. It's the engine behind everything. And it's just simply by getting this system activated, how it's supposed to work. This is how it's supposed to work. We're not supposed to be sitting at desks, sitting on the computers, sitting on the phone, hunched over all the time. And all that's going to happen is this system just stops your body from doing this and crumping under load and under gravity. Very important systems addressed before we start looking at any form of weight training or any form of loaded carries, because you could be setting yourself up for injury by doing that. Once you've addressed this problem and you've begun the process of activating the glutes, training the glutes, it'd be worth as well integrating exercises which will assist you. So posterior chain specific exercises. And these exercises could be as follows. Deadlifts, excellent exercise. When performed correctly, strengthen this whole system. You strengthen the lats, glutes, hamstrings. Lower back will also be strengthened as well, because that is more of a supporting role. You don't want to be using the lower back to lift these heavy weights. It's all these exercises, these muscles here. Moderate incline hill sprints would be a good exercise to engage the glutes and hamstrings in the correct fashion, but again, I'd make sure that you've addressed this position first and your glutes are nice and activated before you start doing that. For a long time, the military has been so focused on sit-ups being this important exercise, and I want to do a full video on this or very shortly anyway. Sit-ups are basically being phased out. Most militaries aren't doing them anymore because they don't really improve lower back strength. In fact, they can cause lower back pain, it can cause lower back problems, especially when this system here is not functioning correctly. And the plank is a much better exercise, and you can engage these muscles as well, squeezing the glutes, making sure your spine is nice and neutral, and that will complement this system. Now you can progress from that, and you can introduce an exercise called the renegade row, where you're starting off in a pressing position and you're pulling the dumbbell upwards whilst trying to maintain a nice neutral spine and keeping your shoulders and your hips parallel to the floor. And if you then wanted to engage the glutes in an excellent manner, which would really complement this system, you would be able to perform the renegade row whilst raising the opposite leg by extending the hip upwards, activating the glute. So your glute should be firing first at this point and not your hamstring, at the same time as you row the dumbbell on the opposite side. So straight away there, you can see that is pulling you inwards and is activating these two muscles that you want to work synergistically together. I want to use myself as a bit of a case study for this system actually. I'm well used to carrying heavy objects up mountains, hills, long periods of time. Recently I carried a piano which weighs nearly 400 pounds, just over 2 miles up a small mountain on my back, So you would think that, yes, I'm going to get a lot of back pain from doing that. I had absolutely no back pain, zero back pain throughout that exercise, and nothing here hurt at all. The reason why was I've developed this system on my body through habitual exercising, habitual training of the glutes. I actually saw a osteopath shortly afterwards, and he said I was one of the few people whose posterior activates in the correct manner, i.e. glutes first, hamstring second, and then your lower back then afterwards, is very important. Other exercises you could look at doing would be hill walking on an incline, because once you do that, it will serve to engage your posterior muscles. Again, make sure you've got the activation exercises in prior to, so before every session you're doing glute activation exercises, hip extension exercises, glute bridges, hip thrusts. Very important, you add this to your daily exercise routine. I've done another video on that here, where I said this would really reduce the amount of injuries if individuals were doing this during military training. Now, I hope this is something the military actually looks into. From what I've heard is they have got scientists and sports therapists and things like that in to look at how they're performing and conducting training, the sort of exercises, warm-ups and mobility drills that they're doing to reduce injuries and actually increase the performance of the troops. But when I was in, there was very little emphasis on working these muscles, and none of the fitness tests included posterior. Everything was always anterior, so there was sit-ups, there was press-ups, again there was pull-ups, but there was nothing that actually tested these muscles here. It looks like now they're recognising the ability of the plank. It wouldn't be surprised if in a few years' time, or a few months' time even, they get rid of the sit-up test. The US Marines have done it, well, quite done it. They've given the option now to put the plank in instead of a crunch, because the crunches perform so badly, and because people are trying to go for speed, for repetitions, and they're losing form whilst doing it. So it's very important that form is there. These muscles here work, your glutes are pretty much responsible for keeping your body upright. If you look at other primates, you can see the ones that are more kind of on their walk using their arms, they don't have so well developed glutes as we should do. So yeah, these muscles here, when you're doing your loaded carries, get your weight on your back, they will help you maintain a good upright position. And not only that, if you are walking up a hill, you will start to lean into it a little bit as well. That's where the hip hinge comes in, which your glute muscles again are responsible for controlling that. But this system here will stop that back from rounding over and getting into a vulnerable position. You're going to have a dramatic increase in performance based on the actual correct implementation of the glute muscles. So this isn't a guarantee that you're not going to get injured in recruit training. Of course, there are you could slip, you could fall down a hill, or something like that, or fall off a boat, or be involved in some kind of accident, a high impact accident, which could damage the spine. So what I want to say, this is not going to be an injury proof method, but it will reduce the likelihood of injury from loaded carries, from lifting weights, and will improve your strength. Or will always be that element where something could happen, but it is just about trying to put as much in place as you can to protect yourself and to get your body as robust and to protect the structural integrity of your body. These muscles are so strong, the actual strength on them, there's so much there. What you can actually do, the work output is incredible, and it's just simply unlocking the right keys, activating the correct muscles, and doing things the way your body is supposed to work, fighting against what sort of today's society, if computers sitting at the desk driving has done to us, and bringing it into your training and focusing on these posterior exercises as well as the front exercises. A lot of people, they tend to focus on the front exercises, bench presses, press-ups, sit-ups, because they can see that in the mirror. They can't see what's happening on the back, they can't see the structure of the spine or the muscles surrounding the spine, and particularly the hips. It's very important here that they need to be addressed, and imbalances and weaknesses need to be addressed to make sure that you're getting the best that you can out of your body. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section if there's any questions you've got for me. I'll be happy to do my best to answer them. Don't forget to check out my website, maxglover.com. On there you'll get access to training programs which you might find useful if you are looking to join the military, or if you're just looking to get in the best shape of your life. Take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.